welcome to a live edition of BYOB. I am author Nola Nash. She is
author Laura Kemp, and she is
author Kat Howard.
We are so excited to have Kat with us today. I'm so excited. This is the second time that I've gotten to talk to Kat, and so I'm looking forward to continuing that discussion and for Laura to meet Kat, because Carrie Schaefer and I interviewed her for The Other Worlds, which was just a lot of fun, and we got to talk all things magical there. So we are talking to Kat because of her new book, SLEIGHT of Shadows. The SLEIGHT of Shadows, which is book 2, right? It is the sequel to An Unkindness of Magicians.
That's the best title.
Oh, where's my camera? There
it is. Book 1. Well, Kat, why don't you tell the audience, we could read a bio, but Laura and I don't like to do that because we figure you know you better than we do, and you will tell the people what you want them to know. So tell the people what you want them to know about Kat Howard.
Oh, I'm so tempted to just make up like the worst things. Like, you know, I was responsible for the gardener heist and okay, any FBI people listening, I was actually not. But
now it's out of the bag, Kat. They got you.
Can't take it back. Can't put it back in the bag.
Right? No, I was just reading an early copy of my friend Gwenda Bond's a forthcoming heist novel. So I have heists on the brain. Yes. Anyway, so who I am. I'm Kat Howard. I am a writer. I live in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, and I write mostly fantasy, a little horror. I've written some comics. I wrote for the Sandman universe, which was great fun. I have 2 cats that are the boss of me. I used to be a competitive fencer. I used to wrangle college students. So, you know, any number of things.
I'm going to need you to elaborate on wrangling college students.
I was a professor. It sounds so much more fun when you say wrangling than like, I graded papers, lots of papers.
Laura and I are both teachers.
Oh, we know. Middle school.
Yes. Yeah. We get lots to grade papers that smell like weird hormones and Axe body spray.
Oh yes, the axe. Way strong through the hallways. Yeah.
Why do they try to cover up the fact that they don't want to wear deodorant by smothering it in Axe, and so you get basically Axe flavored BO air, and it's just not.
Yeah, that's really good. The combination of Axe and BO is a whole nother.
It's so bad. just wear the deodorant and skip the Axe shower. We don't need it. Or take an actual shower. Also a plan.
Actual shower. Yeah. That's another story. Anyway, we digress, right?
We digress. We're here to talk to Kat.
And even though this is a podcast, I did take an actual shower and put on actual deodorant, not Axe flavored. So
good job.
Everyone give Kat Howard a round of applause for doing what our middle school students cannot.
Doing what most middle schoolers cannot.
No. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm echoey. I'm really sorry about the echo, guys. Room. It is my I've moved. Here's my new farmhouse. Laura's going to come and see me in my new farmhouse.
We're going to dance
in August. Yeah, we'll dance around in this big ballroom that I'm in. So it'll be fun. So Kat, you need to come down for Killer Nashville so we can all hang out.
Oh, it sounds delightful.
That'd be
fun. Kat, tell us a little bit about where our world is with Unkindness of Magicians, with SLEIGHT of Shadows, which is the sequel where we're kind of carrying on. I love what you've done with the magic in this book. I want you to kind of explain all of that, to kind of give us a sum up of what it is without, I don't know, can we do a sequel without spoilers of Unkindness of Magicians?
It's hard to do
because I want people to read the whole series.
So we'll see. We'll get started and see what happens. So this is a very connected duology. If you are a person who does not read books until the series is complete, the series is complete. There are not going to be any more books. You are safe to begin. An Unkindness of Magicians, both of them actually, but we start in a very modern New York City that's very much like our own, except it has a secret hidden enclave of extremely powerful and wealthy magicians who call themselves the Unseen World. And as an unkindness of magicians begins, we are in the midst of these magicians as they start what's called the Turning, which is a magical duel to the death that happens about every generation. So they get together and it starts out really nice. It's all very civilized, you know, big spells at cocktail parties, and we try and impress each other. And it's all about power and status. And then as things progress, the spells progress, and it becomes, we try and kill off our friends to see who's going to become the most powerful magician. And that's only the beginning, because in the course of the Turning, some of the Unseen World's darker and more unpleasant secrets come out through one of the competitors in this tournament, our main character, Sydney, who is incredibly powerful and incredibly vengeful, and no one really knows where she came from or what her deal is at the beginning. We find that out over the course of the book. So lots of magic, lots of murder, a little mayhem for, you know, spice.
All of the key M words.
Yeah. By the end of the book, the tournament is over. Some of the secrets have been uncovered. Any number of unpleasant things have happened, and this is where we get into sort of spoiler territory, so earmuffs if you don't want to know sort of where we're starting off for the next book. But Sydney has sacrificed her own personal magic to save the magic of the Unseen World. It was not a decision she took lightly. It was not a decision she's really comfortable with. So we start a SLEIGHT of Shadows very close in time to this, and she's dealing with the loss of her magic and what that means, as well as the fact that some of the nasty things that she thought she had taken care of in the first book are rearing their ugly heads and coming back to torment her. And so then we have the events of a SLEIGHT of Shadows, and that is where I really am going to stop, because otherwise I'm just going to spoil the entire series for you.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
Don't want that. One of the things I love about the magic in this book is that it has physical consequences for the people who use it, which I really like, because Laura and I were talking about this before we came on. You know, so often magic is so easy, and it's like an easy solution. It's like, then you're like, yeah. I mean, sure, you can do all of those things, but what if you couldn't do that? Can you still win the day? And they have to make choices. You know, is it worth the physical consequence to do this magic? So, you know, they're not just going to turn the TV on and off with a flick of a finger, because there is a physical consequence for that. It takes a toll on them. So I like that.
Physical consequences, you know, to a person. So it makes it more realistic that way, I think.
Yeah, and I really wanted that. I wanted it to be a very embodied sort of magic, where you can, you know, where you really felt it in your skin and in your body when you were casting the spell, that there was really a connection. But that's exactly it. I didn't want it to be like this, you know, easy wave a wand, everything is super fun and happy. You know, like, I think there can be really great stories about magic that are written with that, but that's not the kind of story that I wanted to tell. I wanted to get into, what does it mean to actually, you know, have to wield this power? And does it make you responsible? Does it make you think about what you're doing? Or, you know, does having this kind of power turn you into a kind of a monster? And so the answer that the books come up with is both. You know, it really depends on what kind of person you are. And that was also one of the big things for me, was that having this magic, having this power, it doesn't necessarily change who you are. You don't become a different kind of person because you have this. These are all people who were born with this. It's not, you know, like, it's not something that you learn later in life kind of thing. So it's just it exaggerates the traits of your personality that are already there. And
it almost sounds like Lord of the Rings, you know, when the ring is in the hands of a different person, then their own qualities are amplified. Like,
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I think you can see it like that very much. So, yeah,
that's interesting.
Which I like, and it gives a lot of depth to the characters themselves, because sometimes you think about, you know, the magical world, and lots of books that have that kind of magic in them. You have the good people and the bad people. You've got more of a spectrum when it is like, it's just going with whoever you actually were, as opposed to good magicians versus bad magicians. It's good magicians versus bad magicians versus magicians with questionable motives, you know, and, you know, it's
Like real
more of
life.
a smorgasbord. It's
Real life.
more real life. And I think adding the consequence of the magic and giving it's set in New York, which is a gritty city. I mean, there are, everything has a consequence. Everything is difficult because of the size of the city, and it's impersonal in many ways. And, there's a lot of grit that you have to survive in a city that size and to succeed in a city like in New York. And these are wealthy, successful magicians their world is in the middle of that. So having that physical consequence, having that amplification of kind of who you actually truly are fits the city so well. I think it goes with that New York vibe really, really well. But I have to tell you, every time I hear the Unseen World, I love that that's what it's called. But the Nashville Zoo's reptile house is also called the Unseen World.
Oh, that's wonderful. I did not know that at all, and I love it.
So every time it's like, the zoo.
It's segueing that into the next book, right?
Murder, Magic, and Mayhem at the reptile house at the Nashville Zoo.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
It's like the unseen world.
That just makes me so happy. Now I'm imagining like the little magical snakes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've got a little tank of seahorses. We've got a tortoise here. We've got the axolotls. We've got a hellbender.
Imagine a magical tortoise, and they'd just be the grumpiest old magician ever.
Oh, thank God. Maybe people could ride on their back too.
And the hellbender, who's got the terrible name, but actually just a thing that's kind of chills. When it's called a hellbender, it doesn't really live up to its name. Like magically, it's not, it's actually good guy. It really is regrettable when it's called a hellbender.
I'm glad I didn't know this while I was writing the book because it would have stuck in my head too. But now that I'm done writing them, this is my new favorite fact. This is
It would have taken a whole different direction.
Reptiles at the Nashville Zoo. It's now
I got to ask
that
a question though.
Sure.
Kat, I love your blurb at the top. So you
have
Are you
no
friends with him?
How did that happen?
Did you collaborate with him? I think I read maybe you collaborated on it.
Yeah, so we back in 2008, there's a writing workshop, the Clarion Writers Workshop, that has a couple of different iterations. There's a version that happens in Seattle called Clarion West, and then University of San Diego also hosts a workshop, and it's like a 6-week short story, science fiction, and fantasy writing workshop. And they have different professional writers come in every summer and teach a week each or 2 weeks at the end. And Neil was one of my instructors the year that I went, and
So cool.
Yes.
which was really cool and yes, that intimidating. But he's a sweetheart, and at the time we lived like maybe 90 minutes away from each other, so it was pretty easy to keep in touch after. And he's just been incredibly supportive of my writing career from the beginning, and the comics invitation to write in the Sandman universe, to write the books of magic that he started and stuff like that. So yeah, he was one of the editors who bought my first short story when I made my first short story sale. So he's been there.
He's a mentor to you, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very much so. And I've been really fortunate to have that relationship and to be able to draw on his knowledge of story and craft and everything else, which is just a gift. So
I love to hear it when really successful authors are also very kind human beings.
Yes.
That's so wonderful and uplifting and hopeful.
Yeah, that's definitely 100% my experience there. Oh. So yeah,
always good. So Kat, this series is finished. So
yes.
We've got duology, and so it's done, which means folks can go out and read it. Like you said, jump in. You're not going to be left hanging like I've done to people. Sorry.
Yeah, and you definitely. You do definitely want to start with the first book, because this is not, the first book was actually written as a standalone. So there is really no way to jump into the second without knowing the first. So
what have you got going on now? What's in the can?
So I am working on a book that is due at the end of this summer. And love to talk about works in progress in a lot of detail because I get a little superstitious, but there's magic again, but it's a very different kind of witchy, gothic, maybe a little dark academia sort of magic deal.
I like it.
Nola's eyes are lighting up.
I know.
And I'm having a lot of fun writing it, which is a nice change.
Which is a nice
I
change.
have fun when they write occasionally.
It's fun.
What's that?
I know.
That's enjoyable writing. What?
Yeah.
I love it. So when you're not writing, what is it that Kat Howard does with herself? I know do you still fence?
Fencing. Are you out fencing people?
I should just grab my swords and wander around.
Just random people.
I mean, my old club is like 5 minutes away. I could just go stab some people over there, and they at least presumably know how to defend themselves. No,
They might expect it.
Yeah, I know.
When people don't know it's coming, you should go on the street.
Kat's gonna go around Minneapolis with a couple of pool noodles and challenge people to pool noodle duels.
Keep it safe.
Fencing is actually a really good way to start the littles out, because it's maybe sometimes safer to start the littles with like the Nerf swords and like, here, have a weapon, stab people.
Yeah. Usually
You're
better.
10, you can't sit still. Let's give you a sword. That's a fun thing to teach.
Little brother, look out.
But no, it's great. I love this sport. I miss it. I had too many injuries and other things going on, and so I've been out of it for a while. But it's sort of always like back of my head. You could go back to that. You could do that again, because it was.
You can go be a stabby girl if you want to go be a stabby girl.
It sounds like you're such a prolific writer, though. I was reading, I mean, all of the things that you've written. Your process, do you get up in the morning and just write? I mean, how many hours a day do you write?
Oh, I wish that it were that organized. I feel like I'm not at all. I mean, I'm lucky enough that my day job, I edit and work with other writers to help develop their books and things like that. And then when I was starting out, I was teaching, and teaching college level is a lot easier than teaching middle school level, partially because you have a much more flexible schedule. Well, yes, and the different smell. Wow, I'm just going to be haunted by Axe deodorant all day. No, but in terms of flexibility for your writing and stuff like that, because the hours are a lot different and more spread out. It's not like being in the classroom for that huge chunk of the day. So I've always been able to put the writing in pretty easily, and I know that I've been very lucky with that. And I guess just trying to take advantage of that. But also, I wasn't one of those people who knew from the beginning of my life, like there's some people who know when they're young that they're a writer and they want to be a writer, and they've always pursued that. And I didn't really start writing until I was around 30, and so it's not like I feel like I've lost time or need to catch up or anything like that. That's not how this field works or anything else. But it's also, I really have a sense of wanting to make sure that I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my time. I don't, it's not necessarily the best way to say it, but I guess just sort of, I have a tendency to work more than I should, maybe, as the not, but I love being able to do this. Like, even when the writing is hard, I love having that as my job. So, and
that's the goal.
The cats yell at me if I'm not sitting at the desk.
Oh, well, good to have accountability partners.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they won't do writing sprints with me. They won't fix my snacks, but gosh darn it, will they yell?
I mean, they're just accountability. So they're not really partners at that point. They're not
bullies, I don't know.
No, accountability bullies.
At least they're soft and cute.
Aww.
They got to have something going for them.
If you have a kitty, I have 2 kitties too. I'd love to see them if they wander into your space. Yeah. Sometimes I hold up my big black cat Theodore, but
Yeah, they're both.
He's not about at the moment.
Yeah, I can see Viola is in snoozing, stretched out in the middle of the bed, and Maeve is
be a
probably
cat.
hiding somewhere. But yeah,
Violet and Mavis. I love the names.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, those are great.
yeah.
Great names. All right, so Kat, we told you there would be a quiz.
I know. I think I'm ready. We'll see.
So we told you that you would know all the answers. So we are going to do Fast Five. So we are going to ask Kat Howard 5 questions. Laura and I are going to alternate the questions that we ask. Going to give her 5 questions that she should know the answers to, and so she's only going to get 30 seconds to come up with an answer and tell us. 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes is the longest episode of BYOB ever, so you're going to have plenty of think time.
Are you keeping track, Nola?
Sit back. Yeah, I've got
your
I've got the
calculator.
timer. And it is 30. Yeah, on my calculator, I'm keeping track. Pulled up the wrong thing earlier. Like, I've been moving. I'm lucky I even know where I am anymore. I really, the stupid questions I've had to ask people lately because of all of this. But I do have 30 seconds on the timer.
First one might be super easy. So
Okay, I think
I don't know. We're going to talk about cats.
Here we go.
Right. Tell me when, Nola.
All right. And well, you ask her the question and then she gets her time, right?
Okay.
Or do we do the
question number 1?
Yeah.
What's your favorite animal and why?
Go.
Okay, cats are my favorite animal because they are furry little evil genius weirdos that will also snuggle up and purr with you.
Ooh.
You want to elaborate? You got 15 seconds.
Your cat's going.
That's real good at this.
They're accountability buddies or bullies.
All right.
That's okay. We did this.
I know that was like
She's
so
just
good.
good.
Okay.
That's the one I'll get right. Everything else is going to be a disaster.
We segued into that pretty good.
Yes, we kind of did. We led into that one. All right. So here's your next question.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your favorite magician, real or imaginary? Go.
Oh, that is a good one. I'm gonna have to go with Merlin. Nope. I'm changing it because Merlin from the Walt Disney movie version of The Sword and the Stone and he has the duels with Madame Mim is great. But if we're gonna go old school King Arthur, I think I'd have to say Morgan Le Fay instead.
Yes,
it's got
that's a good answer.
Deep witchy vibe. So.
Yep.
Did you read
that
Mists of Avalon? I know I'm not supposed to interject into Fast Five, but did
Oh,
you read the Mists of Avalon?
I did. You know, I'm a huge nut for any kind of Arthurian literature.
Me too. I love Arthur stories. Yeah, that one just blew my mind. So anyway, props to Morgan Le Fay.
Yes.
All right, Laura, you're up.
Okay. Question number 3. Okay. What's your favorite thing that starts with the letter B?
Go.
Brownies. I love chocolate. We're going to have brownies.
Easy enough.
Well, that was easy.
I do like these questions. They are good. Okay.
So I have to ask, and I'm going to ask because I don't like brownies. But I'm going to say the big debate is: do you like the center brownie or an edge, or like corner or?
I prefer the ones that have no edges, and if they're like maybe just like still warm and maybe like a little gooey.
Mm-hmm. Those are good.
I'm one of
with
those.
Ice cream on them.
I'll pick the crumbs out of the my kids want the brownies, and I'll like eat a crumb or two, but that is like all I can take. It's like they're just too rich for me. I don't know. It's really good. I love chocolate. I have never really understood the brownie.
You can't figure out Nola.
But my kids are like, we never get brownies because you don't like them. I'm like,
you don't like brownies. Understood that.
Then learn to cook.
Brownies are pretty easy, I will say.
I have directions on the box. There's the oven. It's not hard. They can do it. All right. You ready for the next one?
Sure.
All right. What is your biggest phobia? Go.
Flying. I am very, 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 very afraid of airplanes, which is hysterical because I live in a family full of pilots. In fact, my brother-in-law, who was not even born in the family, is also a pilot.
So how do you get places then? Do you fly in just not like it?
I fly and just I figure out if I can drive maybe like a crazy person, and usually say I cannot actually drive like a crazy person to get there, and I will get on the horrifying, scary airplane and
You just fly drunk, or you fly freaked out, right?
yeah.
Heavily
And
medicated.
I know.
the whole
I
like
think about it too much. I get freaked out too,
yeah.
especially with water.
Water. Flying over water is my thing. Like, as long as we're over land, if we need an emergency landing, then they can probably get the plane down,
Kinda.
right?
Yeah.
And then, but if you have to fly over large, the ocean,
Like to Hawaii, I'm already
you're
stressed.
kind of screwed.
Yep.
I did manage. I mean, I managed the trip to Hawaii. I did it, and it was okay. It was all right. But I do have to like consciously not think about that. Like, there's nothing underneath us but water, and if we go down, then we're hopefully floating. But then other people will say, I prefer to fly over water because then it's like a water landing. It's a softer landing. I'm going, no. Have you never belly flopped into a pool? It's not softer.
That hurts.
It's not softer. When you're hitting it hard and fast, it's still not soft. It's only soft if you ease in, which you're not going to do in a crashing plane.
No.
Okay, now we're all sufficiently freaked out.
I know.
Now we go
None of
anywhere.
us want to fly anywhere ever again.
We're going on day trips.
We're going to go on a better. Number 5 will bring us back to
number
the light.
5.
Okay, number 5. What is your favorite drink and why?
Ooh, go.
Okay, so are we talking alcoholic beverages here? Like,
I mean, I would be if it was me, but
That's a
that's
really
a
good
question.
So that's hard because I have a couple favorites. Oh, I'm running out of time. Oh, okay. We'll continue with the theme, and I'll go with an aviation.
Oh, tell us about this.
What is that?
So
she gets to tell us.
She can tell us what it is.
It's gin and maraschino liqueur and creme de violet. So it's this sort of lovely, like purpley color. And I first had one with Erin Morgenstern, and so it has like this lovely sort of, I had it with my friend who knows a lot about cocktails, and so she ordered, and I was like, I have one of those. And it's delightful.
Maybe we'll have to get one, Nola, when we're together in honor of Kat and Erin.
We'll have to see. Maybe the Harpeth Hotel can make us one. I doubt we're going to get one at the pond. I go to the pond, I order a PBR. Like, the pond is for beer. The pond is for beer.
Like the beer,
the little dive bar in town.
With the top off.
I was going to say, it's great to have bars that are for, that are the different kind of, depending on what the vibes are that day.
Yep. We go to the Harpeth Hotel for bougie drinks. Then we go to the pond for the rest of them. Once we've paid bougie prices for a bougie drink or two, then you go drink the beer at the pond for cheap. Finish up a night.
I see that you have a plan. I like a person with a plan.
Liquor before beer in the clear. We're good. This is how you party with a budget, but still be bougie.
Mm-hmm.
Bougie partying on a budget. So, yes.
I see a couple of comments.
But I can't see. I know I can't see who.
Says good afternoon, ladies.
I don't know who. So whoever you are, it just says Facebook user on our end. So if you're still hanging out with us, let us know who you are.
We're still getting
we've got you. Yeah. I don't know. But we have, everybody's getting used to it. We went recorded for a while, and I think folks kind of got confused that they can actually still do this. But if you are watching in the replay, and there will be replays, then go ahead and leave those comments as well, and we'll always check in on those comments after the fact. But Kat, we have kept you long enough. We've enjoyed it. The time flies when you're having fun with guests. Sometimes it's like we're supposed to do 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We're almost at 30. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have you tell the folks where they can find you on social media, the interwebs and all of that, and where they can find both of your books in this series, this duology.
Sure. You can always find me at my website, which is kathowardbooks.com. And that's a great place if you're, super excited and want to find other books that I've written. You can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter and Blue Sky now as Cat with Sword.
Oh, I'm going to find you right now.
That would be delightful.
Yeah.
And sword, because of the fencing.
Yes.
Yeah. And also because there are a million Cat Howards out there. And so I needed something that wasn't just a chain of numbers. And you can find these books at your favorite local indie, at your library, at any large chain bookstore, or any other place that books can be found. And if you read them, I hope that you enjoy them.
And I just
They're fantastic books. Yeah, I know. I've been following Kat since we talked too, because I just had too much fun with her when Carrie Schaefer and I talked. If you want to hear more conversation about some of the magic in the books, go check out the Other Worlds podcast on Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, where Carrie Schaefer and I had the chance to talk to Kat as well. We talked about different things. So this is great because you have this kind of, between the two podcasts, you really get to know Kat Howard. Go check her out online. And if you have not gotten your hands on a SLEIGHT of Shadows, it's really cool. Look at all of us with our books.
Thank you so much for having me. Like last time, this was an absolute blast.
So. Oh, good. We try.
We try. Well, we don't really try, and that's probably what makes it fun. That's right. We can try to be professional podcasters. We don't. It's just what we do. Well, I mean, we started the podcast because Laura and I just wanted to hang out together, and this is really the only time we see each other. And then we thought maybe other people want to too. Let's do that. It's like, let's just hang out live online. Let's see what happens.
And next time we'll visit the reptile house.
Yes, we will do a live remote from the Unseen World Reptile House at the National Zoo, where Kat Howard is going to talk about all of the secret magical powers that all of the creatures in the unseen world now possess. We're tuned for that.
That would be really interesting. I would read that.
Grumpy magician tortoise, and a super softy hellbender. It's inappropriately named. We got it. I don't know what we're going to do with the other snakes and creatures that live there, but trust me, Kat Howard will figure it out.
First there was a quiz, now there's homework.
Didn't know you're
Welcome to a podcast with teachers.
I was going to say,
you have your axe. Just make sure.
When your axe body spray, it gets hot and sweaty down here in Tennessee. Clearly, the middle schoolers know you need it. One thing they figured out.
The only thing I think they figured out.
That's it. They know that. Axe covers a multitude of smells.
Sometimes
it just blends in a whole new aroma.
Anyway,
God forbid they've been to PE.
Oh yeah, 5th hour. It'll come right after.
On that note, this has been the copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'm Nola Nash. This is Laura Kemp, and we've been with Kat Howard. And stay tuned for our next live BYOB coming up next month. Y'all be good to one another.